Alright guys, so I ran into a snag. I'm an idiot. So, I've never done floor supports before except on my Wagoneer. I did every single floor support, including the ones in the rear, by the bumper, which were not even there anymore. So basically I could grab the rear bumper on my Grand Wagoneer and I could lift the body up and down. And that's how bad it was. Every floor support was bad. Every hole where the rubber mounts were sitting on top of were like enlarged by like 2 or 3 times their normal size, so I had to make new plates for those and use a hole saw to cut new holes for the rubber body mounts. And so I've done all of that before, but I've never cut out a body mount. I've never cut out a floor support that had a body mount on it. So that's what I did to this Jeep. I had to take a hole saw, and I had to, unfortunately, I drilled 2 holes because I couldn't exactly quite find the bolt for the body mount right here. So the first one was off. The second one, I found it. So I'm just gonna get like 2 plugs, like those plastic plugs that you pull out for draining your floor, and I'm just going to plug those. So not a big deal. To be honest, my Wagoneer actually already has plugs like that right here. This Jeep doesn't, so I'm just going to add them. Whatever, I cut 2 holes, whatever. So, but the problem is when I cut the floor support out right here in my prior videos where the body mount was as well, I didn't think about this. And I'm kicking myself for it. Here, I'll show you right here. So, this is the body mount right here. And you can see right here and up there is where the new body mount is and / floor support, this piece right here. So when I cut that out, I didn't realize this, but the body, the weight of the cabin, and all of where the engine is and everything, it pushed down on that support right here. It pushed down on it, and it actually pulled the cowl. It actually pulled the cowl forward, and it pulled this out. And in doing so, when I just put my seat in and I was cleaning the doors and all of that stuff in a prior video, sorry, I'm almost 40 years old, it's hard to get off this floor. When I was, just cleaned all this up and just made a video and all that stuff, and here I am closing the door for the first time, and it closes now, has no issues, but what happened before was this part of the door right here was right here, and the bottom part of the door was this way. So I had a gap along here, the seams were not lined up, and basically the whole front of the car was pushed in and the whole bottom of the car was pushed down. So all that because of the floor support that I cut out. I didn't think anything of it because I was like, well, there's a body mount here and there's a body mount there, but then, now that I'm thinking about it, well, there's a body mount in the middle, and since I cut that out, it sagged the middle of the Jeep, basically, and kind of like split it open, if that makes sense. Not split it, but it slightly bent the vehicle. I didn't think about welding braces on the ends of the floor supports that I cut out. So, lesson learned in the future. I mean, you learn as you go, you know what I mean? And this was a big lesson learned. Don't do that. So if anybody is watching this video and you need to cut your floor supports out, please brace them or put a jack on both sides or something so the body doesn't shift, because that's what happened with me. The thing was so bad, like I said, the door, it would stop like right here. This is where it, touches the hinge. So it would stop right there. And this piece right here was bent inward, and I had to like grab the door handle and pull as hard as I could just to close the door. It was so bad. So what I did for a fix was I had to, because I didn't weld the nut to the floor support like I should have, so that's why I had to drill these 2 holes. So what I had to do was drill the hole, find the nut for the body mount, and I had to disconnect or unbolt the body mount right here. And then I had to get this block, and I had to get my jack, and I had to jack the floor support right here as high as my jack could go. I actually had some like shims and a brick or whatever just to get it even higher. And basically the Jeep was, the whole weight of the vehicle was on the floor support, and basically it bent it back to where it was supposed to be, if that makes sense, you know, from the whole vehicle lifting up in the air. And then I was able to close the door without an issue. So after doing that, I lowered the jack, and the door, you know, the body again kind of bent itself back a little bit to, you know, it settled. And then I was able to actually close the door this time without actually lifting it, but it was still rubbing. So what I did was, these Jeeps from factory, I've actually been collecting these things over the years. So these body mounts right here are not new body mounts. This rubber is actually from a 79 Cherokee Chief, but it's in great shape. As you can see, it's only cracked because I painted it, you know what I mean? But the rubber here is in perfect condition. I mean, it's not squished, it's perfect, right? So that's why I've been saving body mounts. If I find good ones, I take them off, if they come off easy. But I realized AMC put shims on these body mounts. This one right here is a shim where my finger is touching, and they're in various spots of these Jeeps. There might be a shim here, but on the body mount over there, there may not be a shim. Or there might be a shim on that side, but there's not one right here. Does that make sense? So I didn't think anything of it, but I've been saving these things. I don't know what they were for originally. I knew there were some kind of shim, but I didn't realize that they were actually to shim the body. I know it's crazy, but they're actually to shim the body of the Jeep. So after, you know, the door was still not lining up perfectly, I jacked it up again, and I put this shim right here, and there's actually another one on top of it. You see that shim right up there? So basically, I shimmed the body mount up by about 1/3 of an inch, and in doing so, the door lines up now because it bends the body back to where it was supposed to be. So now it closes. There's no issues. I'm not going to say it's 100% lined up, because if you see, if I close it, you may not be able to see it, but it does push the door kind of this way. And another thing I realized is this hinge right here, this little thing where the hinge goes on, this piece where my finger is was protruding outward, and it was rubbing this bolt right here. So every time I closed the door, that piece would rub that bolt, this bolt right here. So I just took a hammer and, you know, just smacked it and bent it back in. And I noticed this part of the door, it's actually rubbing this hinge too much, this thing. So I smacked that down slightly, and now it closes with no issues. So, I mean, if you look at the lines on the door, they are actually lined up pretty well. There's no like large gaps or anything, so that's as good as I'm gonna get it. I was not about to cut the whole floorboard out, at least right here, and then cut the body mount out and the floor support, and then like juggle jacking the Jeep on one end and then jacking it on another end, and then kind of twisting it and then welding it, you know, again, just to get it to line up right. There's no way in hell I was going to do that, because it was a pain in the ass to weld this on to begin with. So, like I said, I unbolted the body mount, I put a jack down there, and I jacked up the floorboard support. And the Jeep, this floor right here, was probably up here where the bench seat is. That's how far I jacked it up. And in doing so, instead of sagging down like it was before, when I when I cut off the floor support, I pushed it back up, and it bent the floor support back to where it was kind of supposed to be. And then the shimming of the body mounts, you know, is keeping it in the position it should be. So that's why, again, the door closes now and it has no issues. Now, I thought about this, and I'm like, well, let me sit in the seat and see if my 300-pound fat ass is actually going to twist the body again, and is the door going to line up. And again, it rubbed. So just me sitting in the seat actually flexes the Jeep enough to rub the door. So that's why I hammered this in so it wouldn't rub anymore. So it's literally just this bolt rubbing on this. So nothing else is misaligned. It lines up perfectly. You can see the seams are actually really nice. So I don't think it was misaligned right there. I actually think it was because this piece right here was sticking out. I don't know why it was bent out, but when you look at the one on that side, it's flat, and this one was bent out. So I don't know what happened there, but it's fixed. I ain't worried about it. I did what I did. I bent it back by using the Jeep's weights. I used shims from apparently factory, and call it a day. So, but that's interesting that AMC even used shims on the body mounts to contort the body to line up the doors. It's interesting. I had no idea that they did that, but apparently they did. So, I mean, why else would there be shims on the body mount on one side and no shim on the other side? The whole reason why they did that was to shift the body just that last, like, 3, 4, 5 millimeters just so it can line up. It's interesting. But again, I'll end the video here. If you ever cut your floor supports off, make sure you support or weld supports for the ends that you're cutting off. You know what I mean? So the body doesn't shift. Big lesson learned. I am never going to do that again. So it's actually a good thing I did not cut the floor support off of here, and I just added metal to it. So this door, since the day I got it, has had issues. You can see it kind of drops and it rubs, but the reason why is because if you look, can you hear it? The hinge pin or whatever is actually bad on this door, so it sags a little bit. So this door is actually, it's not because the Jeep is misaligned, it's because the hinge pin is bad. But I'll let you guys go. Don't want to make like a 30-minute long video, but suffice to say, I was like panicking for a second because the door was so misaligned. I really bent the cowl forward. It's amazing how just cutting that off can actually do that. So these Jeeps are really flexible and wobbly apparently. So anyway, thanks for watching.